We'll call the meeting to order. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to call this Johnson County Council meeting to order on this Monday, August 10th, 2026 at 6 o'clock p.m. Amy, will you please take roll call?
Michelle Ann Graves,
Here.
Jonathan Myers,
Here.
John Mallers,
Here.
Pamela Burton,
Present.
John Dittmers,
Here.
Ron Bates,
Present.
Melinda Griesemer is absent.
Please pray with us if you care to, and then we will stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for the blessing of this day. Guide our thoughts, guard our hearts, and lead our steps closer to you. May our lives reflect your love, our words speak truth, and our actions honor you today. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next up, we have approval of our agenda tonight, and I do have one addition, please. The addition of D7, discussion of new hires, employee salaries.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as presented with the addition of item D7.
I have a motion by Pam Burton, a second by Ron Bates. Any further discussion? None hearing. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. At this time in our meeting, it is the opportunity for public comments. These must be limited to agenda items only, and we ask that you limit your comments to 5 minutes per person. Do we have any public comments? Would you like to step up and state your name and address for the record, please?
My name is Debbie Daniels. I live at 749 West Lakeview Drive in Princess Lakes.
Thank you.
Thank you. I thank the council for allowing me to speak tonight. I am here asking you to vote no on the proposed additional appropriations for the Nineveh Township Fire Protection District. Just a few months ago, our community went through a lengthy process regarding the new station. Taxpayers pushed back against the original cost because we believed it was too expensive for a small community. Johnson County brought in Wes Harrison, an engineer and project manager, to help review the project and bring the cost down to a more realistic number. After months of discussion and compromise, the fire district and the community agreed to move forward with a $4.07 million bond. Many taxpayers accepted that compromise, believing this represented the final realistic cost of the project. Now, approximately 4 months later, we are being asked for substantially more money. The numbers, again, originally the $4.07 million that was originally approved, now they're asking for an additional $1.1 million for additional site work, $990,000 for a fire truck. That brings the total bond amount from $4.07 million to approximately $6.16 million. That's an additional $2.09 million, or more than 51% increase from that original amount. Our community is not a large city with an enormous tax base. The Nineveh Township Fire Protection District serves a relatively small community, including Nineveh Township and the town of Princess Lakes. County tax district information shows approximately 3,227 taxable parcels within the fire protection district. This enormous debt falls on a relatively small number of property owners, many of whom are already struggling with rising property taxes, higher utility bills, increasing insurance costs, inflation, and the overall rising cost of living. And I want to make it clear, we're not against or opposing our firefighters. We absolutely support them. However, supporting our firefighters and demanding fiscal responsibility are not mutually exclusive. Before asking taxpayers for another $2.09 million, we should be asking whether every reasonable source of outside funding has been pursued. On May 18th, 2026, FEMA and the Department of Homeland Security announced $648 million in firefighter and first responder funding opportunities. That included 3 separate grants. $291.6 million through AFG, which specifically allows for funding for emergency response vehicles. $324 million through the SAFER grant for staffing, recruitment, and retention. $32.4 million for FP&S for fire prevention and safety. The application period was May 19th through June 22nd, 2026, and this information was shared numerously with the fire department on multiple occasions. These opportunities are not merely theoretical. Indiana fire departments have received federal and state grants in recent years. Carmel received a $400,000 FEMA AFG grant in 2025. Anderson Township received $165,224 in 2023. And even more relevant, the Maryville Fire Protection Territory pursued FEMA AFG funding specifically for vehicle acquisition. Indiana DNR also awarded more than $453,000 to 100 rural and volunteer fire departments in 2025. I'm not saying Nineveh was guaranteed to receive a grant. I'm very simply asking, has the Nineveh Township Fire Protection District ever applied for any of these state and/or federal funding opportunities, particularly the FEMA AFG program that specifically allows for emergency response vehicles? And if they have not, why not? Before placing another $2.09 million burden on local taxpayers, I believe the fire district should demonstrate that it has pursued grants, donations, fundraising, and every reasonable source of outside funding. We accept the $4.07 million bond after months of discussion and compromise. We now ask you to protect the taxpayers you represent. Please vote no on these additional appropriations until every reasonable outside funding opportunity has been pursued. Thank you for your time, your service, and your commitment to protecting our community and the taxpayers who live here.
Thank you for being here. Do we have any other public comments? Would you approach the podium and state your name and address, please?
Yes, my name is Donald Young. My address is 8098 South Nineveh Road.
Thank you.
I don't have anything to read, but I'll put quotation marks around everything she just said. I do want to add one thing. Where's the broken truck that can't be fixed for the fire station? I mean, why are we, I don't know how old it is. No one said anything about it over the past months that we've been dealing with this. But to be forced upon coming to a meeting like this after what we went through for 4 months at the fire station and came up with an agreement we felt was satisfactory between the fire board and the public of $4.07 million for that building. And now we are getting gouged for another 2.06. That part's not right. There was a thing in Boston once over a tea party where they didn't get represented. And I think that's what would happen here today. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do we have any additional public comments? Would you approach the podium, please, and state your name and address for the record?
Thank you. My name is George Adams. I live at 35 East, 775 South, Nineveh. One of the last meetings I attended, which I will admit was probably 4 or 5 months ago. But during that last meeting, I thought we had come to an agreement. And I was Words were spoken by the chief and by the board that I took as honor, that I took as concrete. Now all that has been washed away. We were told that a new truck would be purchased using the accumulated fund as a down payment, and then payments would be made by the fire department for this new piece of equipment. Now they're wanting almost $1 million for a new truck. And I'm not getting any explanation as to what happened to the accumulated fund or them making payments. During this entire process, we've been told we want to build a station for future growth. What growth? Nineveh is landlocked, if not by water, by boundaries. There will be no more new housing additions. There will be no more new taxes coming to Nineveh. We're full, so to speak. There's no more taxes to draw from. It all relies and falls on us that are there now, that are residents now. You know, we agreed to this $4 million with a cap of 5. And now several months later, when the majority of the people think that we have an agreement and we've taken words as what was supposed to be the truth, and that's not the case. Yes, we as residents slacked off. We didn't go to the meetings. You know what? We have lives outside of going to those meetings. And we sacrificed those lives to go to the meetings when we found out that $13 million was trying to be run down our throats. And that almost passed because we didn't know about it. And then it went from 13 to 7. Now it's down to a max cap of 5. They based all these new houses off of existing houses for communities that are multiple times what we have. The first house was based off the large one in Bargersville. Nineveh does not need that. They don't even need the house that represents what's in Trafalgar, because we're not Trafalgar. We don't have the businesses or the residents that Trafalgar has. Please consider voting no for this. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do we have any other public comments at this time? Hearing none, I will close the public comments portion of this meeting. Moving on to item B, routine matters consent agenda. By a single motion, the board approves the following items, which may include salary ordinance amendments, additional appropriations, reductions, and transfers. Any items listed on the consent agenda may be removed by a council member and moved to the regular agenda.
Motion to approve.
I have a motion by Jonathan Myers,
Second.
second by John Mallers. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item C, salary ordinance amendments, additional appropriations, reductions, and transfers. Up first, CASA. Do we have anyone here from CASA? Oh. Hello.
Good evening. I'm Tammy Hickman, Director of CASA, requesting this transfer of some of my unappropriated funds to cover the shortfall that I have in my advertising budget to get me through the end of the year.
Tammy, could you just describe for council and those in the audience, what type of advertising does CASA do?
We have, with the company that I've contracted with, Elevated Marketing, we have branched out into multiple forms of social media. I still continue to carry the little blurb in the Daily Journal under volunteer opportunities, but social media seems to be where almost all advertising is geared toward now. Many more people are geared in on social media than they are in newspapers and things like that. So with their help, we've created some videos. We've also opened up our office and some space and doing like coffees with CASA for people that are interested in knowing more. Sponsoring lunch with CASA. We're trying everything we can think of to bring in the volunteers because we definitely need more volunteers. Our caseload is expanding on a daily basis and I have a higher wait list than I'm absolutely comfortable with. So those kids are unadvocated for right now, and that creates a large problem for the courts to make good decisions for these children. So
Thank you for that. Does anyone have anything else for Tammy? I'm ready to entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
A motion by John Dittmers,
Second.
second by Jonathan T. Myers. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Tammy.
thank you so much.
Up next, C2, food and coroner's office. Welcome. It's good to see you here. If you would please state your name and title for the record.
My name's Amanda Swartz, and I am the new interim coroner for the Johnson County Coroner's Office.
I'm Valerie Castro. I'm the administrative assistant for the coroner's office.
Thank you. Thanks for being here, ladies. Could you tell us a little bit about your request tonight?
Yeah, so we are requesting an additional $40,000 for our autopsy, our pathology and toxicology budget. So we are currently have 4 to 5 autopsies that are not paid yet because we don't have the funds for it. And we are currently sitting at, let me get my numbers out. As of August 1st for 2026, we are sitting at 28 autopsies.
How much money do you have in your account now? And how much have you spent?
We have about 1,900 left. And we just.
And I think, just for the record, I think the original budget amount for that line item was 70,000. Does that sound correct?
That sounds right.
Okay, so here we are in August and we've gone through, I'm hearing the entire $70,000. You have roughly $1,900 left. And you have 4 or 5 invoices not paid.
Correct.
It's the balance of those invoices.
$2,200.
$2,200 each, and you have how many?
About 5 right now.
5. So you currently have about a little over $10,000 that you have an outstanding that you have to
11.
pay.
Yep.
11,000, but they have 1,900.
So what's
Yeah,
your average
you're
per
right.
month? I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
May I speak?
Yeah.
Okay. What's your average per month of your autopsy, pathology, toxicology?
I mean, it's hard to put a exact number on each. Autopsies, I'd say we do about probably 4 or 5 a month, if I had to guess. And then toxicology, every single run that we go out on, that determines we need a death investigation. Toxicology is obtained. The state does pay for the basic test panel that we run. However, sometimes we have to have an additional cost to that if we were to test for electrolytes, carbon monoxide, things like that.
So how much per how do I want to say this? How much per person or whatever? What's the cost?
So each autopsy is about it's $2,200 per autopsy. Toxicology, it varies. 90% of the time the state pays for it. However, like you said, electrolytes, carbon monoxide, that varies between $100 and $700 depending on the testing.
So just given the numbers that you gave me, that's $2,900 per person. Let's say $3,000. You do 5 of them a month. Anybody got a calculator?
I think she did say they get the toxicology repaid by the state.
Oh,
So I think maybe a hard number to look at would be that 2,200 per.
It's about
Correct.
18.
Yeah.
And there's
That's-
That would pay for 18.
no way to determine how many future deaths you're gonna have.
Exactly. Yeah,
Know
so
that?
the amount of times that we actually test for electrolytes or carbon monoxide, something that would require extra money for the toxicology. We don't do that very often. However, it does occur.
okay.
Maybe back into this another way, and I know you're in transition, so, and I don't know what your involvement was with this request, Mayor Ballard, but do you know what the logic was behind the 40? How was that arrived at as far as we need 40 because why? Do you have that piece as far as the logic as to how 40 was the number?
So we're kind of basing it based off of last year's numbers, roughly. I know last year we did have to come to the council and ask for additional appropriations. So we're kind of basing it off last year. I will say we're ahead of last year. So this time in 2025, we were at 23 autopsies. We're up to 28. I'll be honest, it's really hard to get an exact number.
I understand.
So we're trying to just follow the pattern of where that's going.
So you've had 28 so far this year, and this would pay for another 18.
Mhm.
That seems about right.
How are your other funds doing?
I think we're pretty good on our other funds.
Okay. Do you have the fund number for this one in particular?
Yes, it is 1157 30500 0000000107.
Good
Is that
enough.
not accurate, Amy? Do you have the number by chance?
I mean, it's on the agenda.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's out of the,
Yeah,
food and-
I thought you were indicating it wasn't right. Okay.
I'm sorry.
it's out of the food and beverage fund. I do have, a question. So the county needs to pay its bills. So we have 4 or 5 invoices not being paid right now because you don't have the funds available. The person who requested this dollar amount, is not here to fully describe how we came up at this number. I have a proposition. What if, with this council were to approve $20,000 tonight? And then later in the year, when a new coroner has been caucused in, they could take a look at the budget and those numbers and then come back and decide whether they need to ask for more or not. Would that work for what you have going right now?
That would pay your outstanding bills,
Yeah.
correct?
Correct, yes. We'll more than likely have to come back in the next few months and ask for more money, but
And we understand that.
I
Yes,
think
we
under
do.
that scenario, the question I asked can be answered because you guys will have some basis for what you're asking for. Here's what we need, here's why,
Right.
based on what a run is and that sort of thing. That makes some sense.
So rather than table it because we have invoices that need to be paid, let's just reduce the appropriation request in half and then see where we're at in another 30 to 60 days. Does that sound like something council would entertain?
I'd like to talk a little bit about how uncertain her condition is with how many decedents she receives. We had an instance just the other day, Ms. Swartz, remember when we talked about it?
Mhm.
A decedent, family took them to the funeral home and then they decided it was gonna be too expensive, so the decedent was taken to the coroner's office. And the coroner's office couldn't do anything about it. And I know this doesn't apply specifically to the toxicology, but their situation is so how do I say, in flux. And I
Correct.
just wanted to make that statement. And so don't feel bad about coming back if you see it running out again, because
Okay.
that could possibly happen, but it could possibly not. So we're here to help.
Thank you.
We appreciate what you do.
Thank you.
And with that, I'm prepared to make a motion that we accept as presented, except the amount be reduced to 20,000. And if in fact the need increases, you will come back
Okay.
and let us know.
All right.
I have a motion to approve item C2 coroners, pathology and toxicology in the amount of $20,000.
Second.
I have a motion by Pam Burton, a second by Ron Bates. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, ladies.
Doing a good job.
Up next, we have distribution of opioid restricted funds.
I think that's me.
Fine.
So if there are any questions, these are the latest appropriation.
State your name for the record, please.
That's right. Introducing Tiffany Costley, County Attorney. So as you know, we have our opioid advisory board that was created a couple of years ago, and since then they've had disbursements once a year. We might try to do twice a year. We'll see. One year, I think we did that. But we have a board of 9 people and they review these grant requests. There's a grant application that's open. It was open for over 30 days. We had several. This is the most we've ever had applications. And after they scored everything, these are the awards. We still have lots of money to give over the years. So they're doing great work. They had a public meeting. I would encourage anybody who's curious to go look on YouTube because the presentations are great with the work that they're doing that's been awarded with these funds. So these are the latest disbursements that we're asking for appropriation.
Good work.
Move to approve.
I have a motion by John Dittmers,
Second.
second by Jonathan T. Myers. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Miss Tiffany. Moving on to item D, other business. D1, approval of resolution 2026-06. This is a resolution of the Johnson County Council approving the issuance of the general obligation bonds by the Nineveh Fire Protection District, Johnson County, Indiana. And this is for the fire station project.
Thank you, Ms. Graves. Jacob Bowman on behalf of the Nineveh Fire Protection District. I have a lot of folks here with me tonight. I think it's beneficial for me to introduce each one of them. Jeff Peters, Municipal Advisor, Bond Counsel, Max Adams. We've got 2 members of the Fire Protection District with us as well. Kevin Hendrickson and Al Burbish. Joining us online, hopefully, is Wes Harrison. I'm not quite sure if he's gonna.
Connor, do we know is Wes online?
Okay. And again, my name is Jacob Bowman. We're here today requesting some additional money in order to complete the project that we had started really August of 2025. We've been discussing this project with residents and with this county council. I was trying to conceptualize the best ways to convey information out to the council and to the public and how we ended up at this point. And instead of just a long monologue and presentation, I thought quick sort of frequently asked questions might be the best way to go about doing it. I'll state one of the or state the frequently asked question and follow it up with an answer. Following that, I'd turn it over to Bond Counsel and to the Municipal Advisor to get into more the nitty-gritty portion of the presentation with respect to the resolution and to the hard numbers itself. So frequent questions we've been getting. The property we're discussing here, when was the property purchased for the new firehouse and how was it purchased? It was purchased in 2019 by the district. The district used cash funds in order to make that purchase. Did the current district board authorize the purchase of the property in 2019? The board was made up mostly of other members. The only overlap was Mr. Hendrickson, who was on the district board at the time in 2019. Why was this project site chosen? We assume, and Mr. Hendrickson might have a better answer, it was chosen primarily due to the location. Majority of the homes in the district are in and around the Princess Lakes area in the southern half of Nineveh Township. Trafalgar maintains its own station and its corporate boundaries, covers a lot of the northern half of Nineveh Township. The first bond issuance, obviously, we're here again, asking for some more funds. When did it close? It closed on July 2nd. What were the net proceeds from the first bond issuance? Those netted about 3.1 million in construction proceeds. How many bids were received for the firehouse project? We had 12. One was late. We had to reject it because they were about 10 or 15 minutes late getting to the party. Of those 12 bids, what was the average amount? 4.74 million. So 3.1 million in net proceeds on what's really a 4.74 million project. The lowest bid was about 4.1 million. Why were the bids higher than the bond amount? And I think that's the question that everybody's really wanting to know. It just comes down to land work and dirt work. The site itself, and Wes will do a better job of explaining it than I am, is more or less sloped. It has to not only retain the water that the improvements will disperse itself, but it also has to capture the water from neighboring properties prior to slowly releasing it into a nearby creek. And again, I would defer to Mr. Harrison on any additional questions on that. Has the district considered a different site for the project? Yes, we have. The district already owns a site purchased in 2019. The idea to change sites at this time would just increase engineering costs. There are relatively few sites available within the area. The district is really reluctant to exercise any eminent domain to acquire and take a site from any property owner, especially considering we have one already to build on. And if we were to move new sites, the bids would stale. District would need to rebid the project. Is the district now seeking to expand the building to add more square footage? No. It's the same square footage that we've reduced from the $12 million project initially down to bare minimum at this point. Is the district now seeking to use better quality materials for the same building? No. We're still using shingled roof. We're still minimizing the wainscoting and any architectural features that add any sort of architecture really to the building. It's a steel structure, pole barn looking structure. What are some of the things the district has done to keep costs down in general? The district has applied for, received variances to reduce county landscape requirements, reduce county curbing requirements, reduce county drainage requirements, has applied for and received waivers from the county on current drainage standards. So an old easement can be used across Mr. Young's property as opposed to expanding on that easement and acquiring more property interest. Reduce the square footage of the building as much as possible. Moved a steel frame from a steel frame to a wood frame structure, from a steel roof to a shingled roof, and again removed some aesthetic features of the property. So what is the additional bond amount? What's the request for? 1.12 to finance the full construction of the new fire station, separate bond issuance for the fire truck piece. With that additional 1.12 million bond issuance for the building, estimated tax impact is $250,000 on a $250,000 homestead property, which is the median value of the property in the district, is about $2.58 per month. This is in addition to the first bond issuance as well.
Was that per month?
Per month, $2.58. What happens if the district does not have sufficient funds to finance the construction of construction of the new fire station? The first lease revenue bonds that have already been issued, sold, and purchased and sold, it would create a situation where there could be potential ramifications if a building's not built. And I'll leave it at that. Why didn't the district just issue bonds in an amount sufficient to cover the project cost? At the time of the first issuance, we had not received and opened the bids. We were relying on an engineering estimate for the total cost of the project. Once we received those 12 bids and got to looking at what those bids said, what what was the most expensive amount in all of those bids? It comes down to drainage and site work on almost every single one. The building has not changed. The square footage has not changed. It is the bare minimum in what the district can use and to store all of its apparatus. And those are essentially the main questions that I've received. Again, at this time, I'd go ahead and defer to bond counsel to get into the resolution parameters in particular. Wes Harrison, again, if online.
Yeah.
Really.
Jacob, I can answer any questions that anyone would have too, so.
Okay, may I ask a
Yes,
question?
we'll start some questions, please.
Okay. To both of you, Wes and you, sir, how was the bid? So the bids came in high and then a part of their bid was pulled out, the site work, in order to get to the number?
Not exactly. All the bids that we received were high. The average bid was about 4.75 million, right? We had a net proceeds of bond of 3.1 million. When we take a look at all the bids are broken down into things such as site work, and I'm getting a little bit into Wes's territory a little bit, but site work can be more or less pulled out to find why we ended up not having enough money. We do have the lowest bids. The lowest bids are about 4.1 million, plus or minus.
So for Wes, how was the money pulled out? Was it how the project was bid?
Yeah, I think, John, what was unique about this project is typically we would have a budget going into a project. And in this case, we had a project and we were trying to fit it within a budget. And so on bid day, when we opened the bids and you look at the schedule of values and we study those, especially from the two low bidders, it was obvious that the site work was our issue. The building came in pretty much right where we expected it to be, but unfortunately, the site is what's hurting us here. And the fact that it's 6 acres is probably a little bit more than we need, and we're taking over 10 acres of runoff from adjacent properties that currently runs just across our property down to the creek at Mr. Young's property. And because of county requirements, when you improve a property, we now have to capture that water and therefore the retention pond and therefore the cost. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell.
I understood. I just was, concerned about, how the final number came to be with the site work. And I know site work can be expensive, and there are different solutions to every problem, but $1 million for the site work is pretty low. If you have to do a retention pond and the contractors didn't know that going in or whatever, perhaps that, is justifiable.
Well, we've got a situation where we're working with the property that we have, and I worked with the civil engineer to study other locations on the site where the building can be placed, where the retention pond could be placed. And we kept coming back to where it is now as being the least expensive, most efficient place. And, the retention pond just is in the low end of the site and the building's on the high end of the site. And we studied a dozen different options and kept coming back to that. So.
Well, I trust your judgment, sir, having worked with you in the past.
Thank you.
So just to make sure I understand, the bonds were issued before we knew what the price was.
Correct. We're relying on an engineer's estimate for the price.
Does that happen? Does that happen a lot?
It happens on occasion. We were pretty optimistic, considering the amount of interested bidders we received, and we did receive probably the largest sample size I've received for a project in at least in my recent memory, with 12. We went ahead and we issued the bonds, sold the bonds. we've narrowed the project down as much as we could. The low bids again came in roughly about 4.1 million. Our net proceeds on the first bond issuance just didn't yield sufficient hard costs for construction.
Could we have waited on the bond issue until we had the bids, or does that, I apologize for my ignorance of the process, or is that not what?
Yeah,
It seems like that would make more sense, but maybe there's a reason it doesn't.
and either way, I think it would have been cleaner probably to do that, but either way, we'd still end up with the same overall bond amount roughly. I do agree that would have been a cleaner way to do it.
What have
But
you-
where
No, you go ahead, I'm sorry.
we were in the first bond issuance, it wasn't advisable to stop that and then try to revise everything at that time. It made more sense for us to go and issue that and then come back for a second smaller issuance. And again, it's not as clean as we all would have liked, but it's what has happened in this case.
And what are the additional costs doing it this way? Bond counsel costs, bond issuance costs, whatever. Are there additional costs?
There are some additional costs that go along with it, including legal fees, municipal fees, underwriters, et cetera.
Do you have an estimate of what those might be?
I don't, but I'm sure someone here does.
Thank you all. Jeff Peters from Peters Franklin, municipal advisor. Estimated costs for the new GO. And in this instance, we would use the underwriter as a placement agent. We would estimate the fees to be about $82,000 to go back and do the additional issuance. Again, that's using the underwriter as a placement agent, their counsel fees, bond counsel, municipal advisor, local legal counsel. And a trustee, assuming that they will engage a trustee to make the debt service payments going forward.
But the payment going forward of the combined, however that works, it'll be similar to what it would have been had we waited and just had a cleaner.
Yes,
Does that
and
make
I
any
believe,
sense?
and bond counsel can speak to this, but I believe we would have had to have started over again because we were already at a capped amount that was going to
Okay.
be insufficient for the project.
Okay.
If I could, while I'm up here, kind of touch on a couple things about this structure versus what has been issued. You have issued the lease rental bonds. Those you are paying the capitalized interest during the construction period. So they do not go on the tax rolls until pay 28. These will be general obligation bonds, whether you do series A and B or just series A or B. These, assumably that they will be issued this year, will go on the 27 tax rolls. Really the only difference in this instance, of course, we don't have to capitalize interest because when we sell the bonds, first payment will come due in July after we get next June's taxes. And those will be received sufficient to make principal and interest payments.
So Mr. Peters, who is paying? What taxpayers are paying? Just the taxpayers within the township?
The taxpayers within the Nineveh Fire
District.
Protection District, which I believe is roughly just the township.
Okay. Do we know the assessed valuation of that?
Assessed valuation for pay 26 in the district, the certified amount was $347,778,306.
And that's the problem as I see it. These formulas and going towards the assessed valuation affect service in these communities. And I believe that the service should, I don't know how many minutes it takes to get to a crisis or a fire. And I think most certainly this would improve the minutes, and I want to hear from somebody a little bit later on if that's the case or not, because that could be a life. And I'm sorry, it may not be in your bailiwick, but
No, not in my wheelhouse.
yeah. Sorry.
Jeff, out of curiosity, why is there a difference in the terms of the two bonds? One's capitalized interest, you said, and the other is.
Yeah, when you take on a project that exceeds your general obligation bond cap, you then set up a building corporation and you issue lease rental bonds. So the building corporation is actually the issuer of the bonds, and then there is an agreement between the unit of government and the building corporation to lease that structure. And the unit of government levies the taxes on the taxpayers, makes a lease payment to the building corporation. The building corporation then pays the bondholders.
But it doesn't go to purpose, because the purpose is the same. All we're doing is.
It does, but the capitalized interest portion is, and Max can speak more eloquently to this, but you're not allowed to make payments toward principal until you can actually occupy and utilize the new building. So during that construction period in a lease rental financing, you have to pay the interest during that construction period. And then it goes on the property tax rolls. So you borrow the additional amount to pay the interest during the construction period. Then when the building is complete and the fire district utilizes it, those then go on the tax rolls. And principal and interest is made for the payments as they come due twice a year for the remainder of the period.
Is there a date of substantial completion? Do we have a date of substantial completion?
Was it 18 months?
Well, yeah, we kind of estimate this project to be 10 to 14 months, depending on what time of year we start. And ideally it'd be 10 months and probably more like 12.
Okay. That affects these funds that you're talking about, right?
That was an explanation of the funds that are already in place, the lease rental bonds that have been issued.
Okay.
Before you today are just general obligation bonds. So they would go on the 27 tax rolls. They would immediately make principal and interest payments beginning next July.
Ron Bates, do you have any?
I had one question. It's either for you, Jeff, or for Jacob. I heard testimony here, and I want to get the connection here. Testimony tonight between the 4.07 million and what we're discussing here. What's the connection, if there is one?
These bonds at 1,120,000 after the expenses would be expected to yield 1,037,000. That plus the $3.1 million that was netted out of the lease rental bonds that were already issued will meet the minimum bid of the bids that they have outstanding. And the other thing is they're working toward trying to still honor those bids so that they get these proceeds in place so that they can accept that lowest bid and undertake the project.
John, Pam, any questions?
No, just a comment. I absolutely understand the public's concern about this and the constituents' concern. This is a conundrum, right? And did I hear a minute ago that the additional cost per month is $2.58, $2.60, something like that?
I didn't break them down to that. I did by
James
year.
mentioned that.
So yeah, I've got for this portion for the station piece would be an extra $31 per year. And to give you some idea, the lease rental bonds that were approved and closed in July, that impact is about $95 a year. The current amount of property tax rate in the district is 0.1214. So its approximate impact is about $133 for the year. If you were to do all of these, the anticipated rate for the lease rental bonds that are outstanding, I have at 8.68 cents. This one would be 2.79 cents. And Series B, if you entertain it, would be 2.31 cents. So that would get you at a little under 14 cents for all the debt and capital component of these.
14 cents all in.
Yeah, and then the normal operating fund for them is just under 10 cents. And then they have a cumulative fund that's about 2.5 cents to make up that 12.14 cents that they use every year annually.
John, I just did some quick math, and this is just for the new or the new fire station. We just heard from Jeff Peters about $95 a year. We heard from Jacob that just for the new fire station project, $2.58 a month, which is $31 a year. So just those two, just the fire station alone, if we were to add this additional bond, it comes out to $126 per year. That's not counting a truck. When we start talking cents and pennies, it kind of, in my opinion, minimalizes the impact. At the end of the day, we are adding over $125 to each person's tax bill on a $250,000 home, in addition to what they're already paying to be in that district. Does that help?
Yeah, the problem in my mind is this incremental amount because of the additional $1 million, right? That's consequential, and it's almost feels like a bait and switch in a way, an unintentional one, but nevertheless, we signed up for this and we got that. And I don't think that there's much anyone can do about it because we're dealing with different facts. So it kind of boils down to if we're going to do this or not. And so that's where I think the conundrum is here a little bit is, we're sort of in, right?
Yeah, you could have.
You're pot committed for the first 4 months.
So
3.1.
Right.
It could have happened where it was done at the 4.1 and then a change order would have had to have been issued, but the change order probably was over 20%. So that would have been a problem.
But my point is, I absolutely understand the points made in the public comments. They're valid and they're on point.
Yes.
The question is what we do about it at this point, because we got to go, because otherwise if there's another delay, you start running into bid expirations, and then you run into more cost, right?
Correct.
Pam, this is your district, I believe. Do you have anything you'd like to add?
Yes, I do. I have spent many, many, many hours from day one, from the first visit to the fire station. And it is my district. So I've been following along as you all have been speaking, and a lot of the same questions that you have answered are a lot of the questions that the taxpayers do have. So I appreciate everyone answering the questions that have been presented so far. And I also appreciate the taxpayers who have contacted us. I have those emails in front of me. I've not personally responded to each one because I wanted to address it at tonight's meeting. So I have read each one individually, and I'm a taxpayer myself along with everybody else in this room. So I do understand, and I do agree with everything that has been said from everyone here tonight, including the taxpayers. So I think some legitimate concerns have been raised, and I think our responsibility as a council is to make sure we understand exactly what we're going to approve. I know of the $4 million bond, the $4 million bond. This didn't mean we had $4 million to build a fire station, and I think that may be where some people got confused. $900,000 of that went to approximately $900,000 went to soft costs, issuance of related expenses, leaving the $3.1 million to build a fire station. following some of the dates, which I'm also were very confusing because the construction bids were received June 23rd. The bonds were actually issued June 17th. And the district then closed on those bonds July the 2nd, and then on July the 3rd, we were advised we were $1 million short, or 1.2 or whatever it was. So I can see from a layman's terms for those, that can be very confusing to a taxpayer looking at it from the outside. So I do understand, I do understand that. I also understand that there's some significant site issues that added to the cost, as you had stated. My concern is still how we got this far before those costs were known. Many of the taxpayers in that area have pointed out this property has been owned, as you said, since 2019. And the drainage and topography, it didn't just appear. If we're being asked for another, if they're being asked for another $1 million to finish the station, I think the taxpayers deserve a clear explanation of how we got here. And I will say, I think you have done that. I think you are doing that. I think it's probably getting clearer as we move along. So I'm not saying that hasn't been done. I do want to say that I personally have a problem lumping the fire truck in with the station. To me, those are two separate issues. One of my questions on here was to ask you to tell me the absolute minimum to finish the safe, functional fire station after every possible savings has been taken out. Then let's deal with the fire truck separately and look at the grants, available funds, and every other option before we borrow more money. I also did some research on the grants that the taxpayers did. And you have answered those questions to my statement that I have prepared here. So I'm not trying to stop a fire station that this community so desperately needs. But I am trying to make sure that before I vote to put additional debt to the taxpayer, regardless of how minimal or large, because I have to look that person in the eye and be able to explain exactly why it's necessary. Because after all, they are the ones paying the bill. I understand that. I think we are in a conundrum. I think we're in a catch-22. The fire station has to be built. Looks like you've gone at it from every angle, and it's going to take the 1.2 whatever to finish it. So I understand that. I don't mean to make excuses for taxpayers or the process. I'm one of 7, and I have done my homework, and that's where I am on the project. So I hope that helps.
I have one question. How much at what was the total bond cap agreed to at the public remonstration? What was that total bond cap? Was it 5 point something?
So when we initially collected the required signatures in order to issue the lease rental bonds, the first issuance, I believe Chief went around and the number at that time was about 5.3.
So 5.3, is that what was agreed to at the remonstrance? 5.3.
Well, it's not, in a nutshell, that's what the petitioner
That's what I
said that they would afford.
Okay, 5.3. So we went back to the drawing board and we took out all the extra fluff that we could. We got it down to bare bones. And how much was that bond for that we approved? 4 point?
The actual outstanding bonds are
Yeah.
3,830,000, but there were premium on those bonds. So our proceeds were just short of bond proceeds were 4,065,478 and some change.
Okay, 4 million and some change. And then we're asking now for an additional 1.12 million. So what I'm trying to do here is see if what you're asking for just for this fire station project comes in under what the agreement was made with those taxpayers at the public remonstration. And it sounds like we are. They agreed to a 5.3. And the original bond came in lower. Now we have found there's issues with drainage and additional expense at the site for the drainage work that will need to be done. So now the request is for an additional 1.2. add that to the 4-point change that we already approved, we're at roughly 5.3. My reason in bringing that up is, I understand that we've taken all the cost we can out of this build. And I know this station is critical. It's not a want, it's not a, oh, we wish we had these bells and whistles. Building a new fire station is critical to serve the community. What I want to make sure before I cast my vote tonight is that we have honored the agreement we made at that public remonstrance of a bond cap of 5.3. And it sounds like we have. That being said, I can support the fire station project request of D1 as it is presented, because it does coincide with what the public agreement was made. I don't know, do we need any further discussion? I'm ready to entertain a motion. I'll leave it up to
I
you.
have one other question. Is there contingency baked into this so that we don't get surprised by
And Wes would be able.
change orders and that sort of
Wes
thing,
would be
right?
able to speak to the
Okay,
contingency percentage, but we baked it in.
okay.
And there hopefully shouldn't be any further surprises. Yeah.
Yes, we feel like we've got adequate contingency. So.
Thanks, Wes.
So D1 and D2 are for the fire station completion only.
Yeah, I would like to take D1 by itself. And we'll just see where we go from there, please.
Individual.
D1, approval of the resolution 2026-06 for the fire station project only.
Move, you want to look for a motion?
Yeah, I'm looking for a motion.
Move to approve D1 resolution 2026-06.
I have a motion by John Mallers,
Second.
second by Jonathan T. Myers. Any further discussion on item D1?
I'd just like to say that, looking at all this and trying to take it all in, it seems to me that the benefit is greater than the detriment could be, might be. So I'm in support of this.
It's a critical need in that area, but I would be remiss if I didn't say how disappointed I am at how sloppy this project has been brought to the public and brought to this council. This is the third bite at the apple, and I'm just very disappointed. Anyway, with that being said, we are ready for a roll call vote. Amy, please.
Jonathan Myers,
Yes.
John Mallers,
Yes.
Michelle Ann Graves,
Yes.
Pamela Burton,
No.
John Dittmers,
Yes.
Ron Bates,
Aye.
5-1.
Motion carries on D1. All right, let's move on to D2. This is another resolution. It's approval of a resolution 2026-07. It's a resolution of the Johnson County Council approving the issuance of the general obligation bonds by the Nineveh Fire Protection District, Johnson County, Indiana, Series 2026B, and this is for the purchase of new fire apparatus.
Thank you, Madam President. My name is Max Adams with the law firm of Barnes and Thornburg, serving as bond counsel for the Nineveh Fire Protection District. We have an approval resolution, just like the prior resolution, for the issuance of bonds for a new fire truck. I know there's been a mixed discussion on the fire engine portion of these requests. I will say the fire board met last week to consider these projects, consider these bonds. We put them into a single bond resolution for the fire board. They're same type of bonds or general obligation bonds for the fire station, general obligation bonds for the fire engine. This is an item that's been identified by the district as a need, something that they want to look forward to doing in the future. So while we were doing general obligations for a fire station, we thought we'd also approve the issuance of bonds for the fire engine, fully knowing that we'd have to come to council for approval for that. So all that to say, the reason we lumped them together, lower cost of issuance, we're doing it for one, might as well just do it for the other, lump it in there, go to the council for approval for those projects. If the council does not wish to move forward on the fire engine, I would ask that the council table this resolution, the corresponding additional appropriation ordinance.
I would be in favor of tabling it.
May I ask,
Yes.
how long does it take to get a fire truck once it's ordered?
I have to turn it over to the fire chief for that one.
Good evening, council. Josh Snyder, 214 East Lakeview Drive, Nineveh, Indiana. The fire truck that we were looking at, I got 7 bids on 5 different pieces of apparatus. 3 were from the same manufacturer. This Pfalz truck is $150,000 cheaper than the next closest bid at over $900,000. This truck is $784,000. We have already looked at this truck. Edinburgh purchased one earlier this year. It would fit all of our needs. If they have one available within a month or so, would be the availability of it. With that being said, Cummins is changing the motor that they are putting in it. With the change of that motor, the price goes up $50,000. So if you're following any of the legislation in Washington, D.C. about fire engines, there is a lawsuit investigation going on about the big rev group on the price gouging, the time turnaround. Mr. Myers, you ask, it can take up to 2 years if you spec one out and order it. This is not a spec truck. This is coming right off their assembly line.
Amazon?
Not quite, but yes. The Pfalz is a very streamlined process. They only allow one modification on their box on the back of the truck. So that way every box that's coming down the line is assembled the same way, built the same way. They only allow one modification of that is a rear discharge, an extra rear discharge. Then on the front of the truck from the pump panel forward in the cab, they offer about 6 different options that you can upgrade. And with that, that's why they are so streamlined on turning trucks out, because you don't have the build out process where they have to change the box because you put this size of water tank in it. They make the same box to fit a 500, 750 or 1,000 gallon tank. It just takes up more room inside the compartment. So I actually had one of my salesmen took one of my guys from Franklin and one of my guys down to Nineveh, down to Georgia to their plant, toured the plant. It's all made right there in Georgia. So like I said, the other bids came in at over 900,000. There's $150,000 more for the next closest bid.
So I'm going to ask you a tough question. What happens if you have to wait?
We have a leased right now, as long as that one doesn't go down.
Okay.
So you do have a truck right now that's operational?
Yes, ma'am. We're leasing it from White River because they're the only for miles around. When both of our engines went down a couple years ago, I called around. Our insurance agent deals with multiple.
But you do have a truck now, so you're good.
We do have
Okay.
a truck leased right now.
You don't have a reserve?
We don't have a reserve. The reserve is inoperable. It sometimes runs, sometimes doesn't.
Okay. I did have one question. Was the community specifically told that the fire district would not be issuing a bond for the purchase of a fire truck?
At that time, yes, ma'am.
Okay.
We were going to try to put a down payment and use CUM funds, but those CUM funds have been used for the building expenses. They did recoup some of those funds. The board did recoup some of that funds, but it's also depleted those CUM funds down. When this was brought to me, I was like, if that's an option, then yes, I vote yes for it.
Okay. Well,
The timing of it, so I've been working with them since 2018, and I'm not going to be in favor of voting for this now, simply because we're trying to batten down the hatches. We had talked before, and this may be ridiculous, but you guys make trips into Atterbury, correct?
$100 a trip.
Into the base at $100 a trip. What a bargain for our federal government. And why can't they, has anybody approached them? Has anybody said anything to any congressman or?
We charge them federal rates.
That's $100.
It's $125 for an apparatus or a squad, and then $25 personnel. The fire engine is $250 an hour and 25 personnel.
Okay, but that's still a big bargain. You know, if you were to put the hours of that truck and divide it into the total amount of cost, they're getting away with a lot. And I would hope that somebody in the community and in your fire district could help him get a truck. Because it means lives. And, you know, if it's time spent getting to a job or whatever, getting to a fire, minutes matter. How many minutes does it take you now to respond to a fire, average?
Princess Lake's about 3 minutes to the north end of the district, up 300 south, probably 8, 9 minutes.
8 or 9 minutes, it means the house, probably.
Oh, every minute, fire triples in size.
Yeah. So I'm all for it in the future, just not now.
I understand that position, but this is a great price. I don't know that you can guarantee this price is going to be available. Almost 200,000, 150,000 less. It's a need. Grants are a great idea, but they're hardly guaranteed. So I'm going to be in support of this.
John, did you have a question?
I do. Josh, this probably doesn't make any sense. I'm asking anyway. Is there a used market for trucks?
So one of the prices, the quotes I got was on a demo. It was 1.1 million. So
that's a demo. So that's a new
used truck. Yeah. And so the problem is when you go looking at used trucks, why did the other department get rid of it? Are we buying somebody else's problems? That's the big risk that you have to take. You go spending $700,000 or $800,000 on a piece of equipment and you're buying somebody else's problems. You just. But one of the quotes for the Pierce that I got was 1.1 million and some change, and it was a demo truck.
And it was a like specs.
So every quote that I got was a 1500 GPM gallons per minute pumper and a minimum of 750 gallons water tank. So every quote I got was compatible. There was I think one quote in there that did not have a Cummins motor in it, but all the rest had the Cummins motor in it. So that's where we got burnt on the engine we have now. When we bought that back in 2008, we got a discount because, hey, this Detroit motor, we can give you a discount if you don't put Cummins in it. Well, in 2008, little did we know that that motor was only manufactured for 18 months, and there's a reason, because the parts are obsolete, and we've put about $70-some thousand in that truck trying to get it up and running, and it's just not.
Does that help, John?
Yeah, thanks.
If there's no further discussion, I am ready for, I would entertain a motion.
A motion to table this.
And you can do both this one and D4 at the same time if you intend to
Okay.
To table it.
So let's take D2 and D4. And D4 is the approval of the ordinance that would go along with the resolution to purchase new fire apparatus.
Motion
to table
D2 and D4.
But if we table, doesn't that mean it just shows up on our agenda next month?
I mean, they could request to put it on there at a different time. It wouldn't be automatic.
It's not an automatic. Thank you for clarification. So I have a motion on the floor by Jonathan T. Myers to table items D2 and D4.
I'd second that. And then I have a question. Yes, for discussion.
Okay, I have a motion by Jonathan T. Myers to table and a second by John Dittmers to table. Any further discussion?
Yes, good question. What is our expectation? We're tabling it. What is our expectation to reconsider?
Taylor just addressed
I
that.
think it's just opposed to an outright denial, that they can come back.
Well,
at-
she didn't. You did, but if it looks exactly the same.
Yeah, you're asking why are we tabling? Are we expecting them to revise their request or are we just not?
What are we expecting from the?
Right.
I expect that the community in the fire district should help him with his fire truck and maybe get your backs up with the federal government in Atterbury. Or to get a little helping hand. And I think if you can gather, if you can get some other avenues, I think that would help. And when those things transpire, that's what I was after.
Other sources
Other
that might be
sources.
available.
Right. To reduce.
Fish fries.
How's the better?
So I have a question for discussion, just clarity before we vote, if I may.
Yeah.
I think there are people here that are wanting to vote yay or nay on this. So there's a first and a second.
To
So
table.
to table it. So this will have to be, if it gets tabled, then there's no opportunity to look at it again, right?
Nay.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. Thank you.
So we're good to go either way. If we table it, it's done. It's not automatically back on next month. Or if we take a vote and it's no,
I think it might be helpful, Max, if he had mentioned the tabling, so
yes.
maybe
Yeah, I
specific.
apologize for causing confusion. The purpose for suggesting a tabling was just so we didn't have an outright rejection of the project. Like I said, this is something the fire district has been looking at for a while. The only reason we looped it in with the fire station financing is because doing one resolution versus two just saves costs that way. The intention with the tabling is to table it, have further conversations, and may or may not bring it back to council for final consideration. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Okay.
clarify, wouldn't be next. month,
Okay.
Whenever.
Just wanted to make sure. I've never had anyone request to be tabled, removed from the agenda, yes, but not to request to be tabled. Okay, so at this time, I have a motion to table items D2 and D4. I have a second. Is there any further discussion? If not, let's do a roll call vote. Amy, please.
Jonathan Myers,
I to table.
John Mallers,
No.
Michelle Ann Graves,
Aye to table.
Pamela Burton,
No to table.
John Dittmers,
Aye.
Ron Bates,
Aye.
4-2.
So it is tabled.
And can I make an amendment that it not be brought back until like January 2nd?
No. Try though, since you won't be here in January. I appreciate that. And yeah. So we do need to approve or discuss item D3, and that's the ordinance that is needed to go along with the resolution to fund the fire station project. It's up to you. I don't know that we need to discuss it again. It's just the second half of D1 that we did approve.
It's the first reading, so it will.
Oh, so this is just the first reading. So yes. So we're on D3.
That's this ordinance that goes along with.
The ordinance.
Correct. Resolution.
Yes, and I didn't realize first reading, so it'll be back again.
I move to approve D3 as presented.
Motion by Ron Bates.
Second.
Second by John Dittmers. We have what, 3 Johns up here, so that's why you'll hear me hesitate. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, or let's do a roll call vote since we did a roll call on D1.
Jonathan Myers,
Aye.
John Mallers,
Aye.
Michelle Ann Graves,
Aye.
Pamela Burton,
No.
John Dittmers,
Aye.
Ron Bates,
Aye.
5-1.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. We're moving on to other business, D5. County Council review of estimated property tax levy limits and estimated reductions due to circuit breakers for each taxing unit. And if I understand right, Amy, this is something that's required by statute to read it out loud into the record at the public meeting. And I've asked John Mallers, Vice President, to have the honors of reading into the record.
Here we go. The council has received and reviewed the estimated property tax levy limits and the estimated reductions due to circuit breakers for each of the following taxing units: Blue River Township, Clark Township, Franklin Union Needham Township, Southern Johnson Township, Pleasant Township, and White River Township. Bargersville Civil Town, Edinburgh Civil Town, Franklin Civil City, Greenwood Civil City, New Whiteland Civil Town, Princess Lake Civil Town, Trafalgar Civil Town, and Whiteland Civil Town. Center Grove Community School Corporation, Clark Pleasant Community School Corporation, Edinburgh Community School Corporation, Franklin Community School Corporation, Greenwood Community School Corporation, and Nineveh Hensley Jackson United School Corporation. Edinburgh Wright Hageman, is that how you say it? Hagman, Edinburgh Wright Hagman Public Library, Greenwood Public Library, and Johnson County Public Library. Amity Fire District, Bargersville Fire District, Hensley Fire District, Needham Fire District, Nineveh Fire District, and White River Fire District. The Solid Waste District, and lastly, Johnson County. And we need to make a motion for these units not to exceed their 2026 property tax levy multiplied by the 2027 statewide growth quotient of 6%.
Good job.
Thank you.
Motion to approve.
I have a motion by Jonathan T. Myers,
Second.
second by Ron Bates. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, John.
You're welcome.
Item D6, discussion regarding Municipal Unit Strategic Task Force, acronym known as MUST.
May.
May must. So I've just got a little statement just to get us started here. We need to decide if council has a desire to convene a must meeting. Section 122 of HEA 1210, the Indiana Code 6-3.6-3-13. Counties may convene a municipal unit strategic task force prior to October 1st, 2026. The task force is composed of one county council representative and the fiscal officers of each city and town within the county. The purpose of the MUST is to provide an opportunity to discuss the financial and operational impacts on local units of government and taxpayers, review relevant financial and operational information, and determine whether the voting members of the MUST can reach an agreement regarding a local income tax, otherwise known as LIT, distribution agreement authorized under IC 6-3.6-3-13, tied to the county's maximum allowable tax rate of 2.9% capacity. Any agreement reached must receive unanimous approval from all statutory participants. The MUST is not binding. County Council will vote on the LIT distribution rates in 2028. So for tonight, we need to vote on whether this council desires to conduct a MUST meeting for Johnson County. And I am open for discussion.
Would that be at a regular council meeting or would that?
No, sir. It will have a separate date.
Sure.
May I?
Yes, please.
I attended the training that we had with Jamie Bolser. And Jamie is a Hendricks County Councilwoman, Nancy Marsh, and several that have had some of the MUST meetings, and the state Michelle brought someone in to train us from the state, and even though it is a May, my opinion after the training and after listening to and researching in other counties is I would suggest that a must meeting be held. And my suggestion is also our one county council representative should be our president, Michelle Graves. And then I am assuming once that's done, we're going to discuss an agenda that has been prepared looking forward into the time where the must meeting will be, when the must meeting will be held. So that's the input that I have.
Okay,
May I?
yes,
I
please
must
do.
say.
Must do.
Oh, must be, okay. I agree with everything that Pamela said, including having our president, Michelle Ann Graves, be our representative. I was wondering if someone could be accompanied by someone in that meeting, or does it specifically say only that person?
No, and I'll have legal correct me if I'm wrong. We just count the fiscal body of the county will just have one voting member, but it is a public meeting and we would request and strongly encourage all council members to be there, all elected officials from the county, members of the public. So
I think it's a good thing. I think it's like Pam said, it forces, it doesn't force, but it offers an opportunity for everybody to collaborate
yes,
and understand what each taxing entity's position is and what is important for them, what is not important. And in the effort of getting to the 2.9 or less than, doesn't have to be necessarily 2.9.
correct.
And to our taxpayers, I think that we would endeavor to try to lessen it as best we can. But there are extraordinary needs out there. The townships and the cities and the towns all have a lot of requirements that we're not aware of. But just like today, Mr. Peters said that the assessed valuation of Nineveh, of the fire district, was 300,000, close to it. What? I'm sorry, 300 million short. So to compare that to White River or Pleasant Township, those are $8 billion each. So you're comparing a district, with fire service, and I get back to that because we did that tonight.
Yes, we did.
But that is a tremendous, tremendous difference, and not to be treated the same. However, we're forced to because of the AV. I think the AV needs to be taken out of some equations. And, I don't know what the must committee can do, but they might be able to do something. I don't know, suggest something out of the outcome. But I'm in favor of it.
Anyone else? Okay, I am ready to entertain a motion.
What's the motion for?
The motion would be for Johnson County to conduct a must meeting.
Move that Johnson County conducts the must meeting. And can I move that Michelle Graves, our president, is our representative?
Yes.
And I'll second that motion.
I have a motion by John Mallers, a second by Pamela Burton. Any additional comments or questions?
When are you going to do it?
That's next.
That's
Hearing no further discussion, signify, I've lost my whole train of thought with that one. If you're in agreement, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. So I did do some research, and thank you everyone for nominating me to be the representative. I don't know if that's good or bad. I'll let you know in about a month. But anyway, back to a date and time. I did do some research, and with all the municipalities, we have, counting Johnson County, we have 9 voting members that we have to take their schedules into consideration. We did, with the help of the auditor's office, we did some extensive research on municipalities and their advertised meeting dates. Also, the availability of the West Annex Auditorium, which is where I propose to hold the MUST meeting. I have a calendar and pretty much all the dates are X'd out where one party or the other couldn't be there. So I would propose Friday, September 25th, 2026 at 10:00 a.m. Do we need to vote on that date, legal?
I mean, it would. Yeah.
Okay. So there really wasn't a lot of dates available, taking into consideration all those calendar meetings. So Friday, September 25th, 2026 at 10 a.m.
Motion to approve.
Okay, let's include that with our agenda.
All right.
So everyone should have gotten an email from me regarding a proposed agenda for the MUST meeting if we did vote to hold one, which we did. Is there any questions, any amendments?
I have nothing, but would you like me to read it out loud so everyone in the audience will know what the proposed agenda might be? Or
It's up to you.
Sure.
We're, if it's approved tonight, you would also send it out.
Yes,
So it will be available to everyone as well.
so yes or no?
it's up to you.
Okay, it's call to order. Statement, limit presentations to only statutory members referenced under the Indiana Code. Limit presentations by each statutory member to 5 minutes. Proxies cannot vote per statute. In compliance with Indiana Code, if all units do not have their statutory representative present that day, then a unanimous decision of the MUST committee as required by the state cannot be reached, and this becomes a discussion. Presentations will be allowed by Johnson County Council, City of Franklin, City of Greenwood, Town of Bartersville, Town of Edinburgh, Town of New Whiteland, Town of Princess Lakes, Town of Trafalgar, Town of Whiteland. There will be a call for agreement and then an adjournment.
Thank you. So I guess one of the things, pretty much it's all dictated by statute. Something we can, change as a council by limiting the presentations to 5 minutes. We could say 3 minutes. Don't know how if y'all have an opinion about that. 3, 5.
5.
5 minutes. Yeah. And I chose that number to get the discussion started because that's what we have for our public comments. And you saw tonight how much information can be covered in those 5 minutes. So, okay. That being said, I would entertain a motion to approve the MUST meeting date of Friday, September 25th, 2026 at 10 a.m. and the agenda that was just read into the minutes by Pamela Burton.
So moved.
I have a motion by Ron Bates. Second by John Dittmers. Mallers. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Whew. D6 or D7. Discussion of new hires, employee salaries. So this was what the item that we added to our agenda tonight. And just to give you a little background, at last month's meeting, council talked about the need to state for clarity our position regarding new hire salaries conforming to the WIS salary guidelines and salary ranges. We addressed this topic last year at budget time. However, the auditor's office has reported that not everyone understood the instruction and there was a need for clarity. So basically what we're doing is clarifying what we did last year at budget season that seems to have been misunderstood. It's nothing new, it's just stating it verbatim. The the recommended language from county legal and hopefully approved that will clear up this any confusion. Effective immediately, all new employees and current employees transferring into a new position will be compensated according to the appropriate WIS job classification within the approved salary range for that classification and not automatically paid the previous incumbent's salary if that salary exceeds the WIS guidelines. New probation officers will be compensated according to the 2026 minimum salary schedule for probation officers by the Judicial Conference of Indiana. So that's the specific language that we need to approve. And what was happening is if someone had left a position and a new hire was made, rather than resetting that line item to the WIS salary guidelines, which was our intent, those people, there were a few that were hired back in at the higher salary rate of the incumbent. And that was the very problem that council was trying to remedy last year at budget time. So this just clearly states how that is to proceed, and takes away any misunderstandings that may be out there.
And how it was intended in last year's budget.
Yeah, it was intended, it was discussed, but there appears to have been some confusion.
Is there a motion on that?
I sure do.
I'll make that motion.
I have a motion by Ron Bates.
I'll second.
Second by Pamela Burton. Any further discussion?
Yes. Please.
Yes, please.
So we talked about a lower limit and an upper limit.
Mhm.
Is WIS doing that now, or is that going to be part of this year's plan?
Yes, we approved that at last month's meeting. We do have a salary range for all of these. And yes, that is contained in this. The new hire would have to come in somewhere within that salary range.
And then would the council have to approve that?
I don't believe so, no.
As long as
Council have to approve what?
the new employee rate.
No, it's already something that should have been done, but it wasn't necessarily being followed or maybe unclear with the announcement. So you guys already said it at that last year.
Okay.
And that was already supposed to be happening, but then for whatever reason, maybe that wasn't clear when someone left the position where we had built-in longevity over years. It should be reset back to the minimum. So
Yeah.
then
So that person that comes in,
Mhm.
who makes that decision as to what they're paid?
it should be the WIS minimum. And then next year in 2027, is assuming you approve the, what are we calling COLAs for
Mhm.
1,500, then there's a range, and that would be up to the elected official or the department head. But right now, this is how it should have been done, and what council approved last year, it just, for whatever reason, I guess, wasn't clear.
Well said.
Good job.
Thanks.
And do we still have in our, that, how do I want to say it? You know where I'm going.
Purview?
Pardon me?
Purview? Is it under our purview? Is that where you're going?
No, I just wondered where it is.
Where, what is?
So does the elected official have the right to hire somebody if a hiring freeze is on?
So I think the important distinction is that what you're voting on today is for 2026. So it's
Okay.
about right now and just making sure that people who switch into new positions or people like the hiring freeze that you all discussed at the last meeting is for 2027.
There's
What
a
you're-
hiring freeze in place for 2026.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
approved last year.
What my research has shown me is that the elected officials have the right to hire, and they cannot be told not to hire. And that's my research, and I'm a functional literate, and I'm looking to our council. Can that happen? Because everyone in this county works underneath an elected official.
I know that you have stated that before, and I know we all don't agree on that. So my suggestion is that you approach the president of the council and ask for outside legal advice, because it's the legal advice we're getting is that we do have the right to do that. And since we retain our own counsel, that might be something that you maybe would suggest, and I'm just suggesting that the president allow or contact our outside legal to give you an answer to that.
Would you like that, John? I know county legal has already weighed in on that position. Would you like me to check with our outside attorney?
Per Pam's request.
No, it'd be your.
I agree with them.
And just to clarify, John, did you get, I mean, we asked, it was asked and answered, so I'm making sure you received that email. It was sent.
Well, did you receive the email I sent to a member of council?
Yes, and we responded directly to that
So was that
immediately.
incorrect?
Yes,
In what way?
it was. I mean, it was AI generated,
Yeah.
very much incorrect. The citations were incorrect. It doesn't say, it was referring to contracted employees, which no one here is. So I
But
asked.
where does the elected official come into this?
In which
I mean,
portion?
hiring and firing.
Council sets the number of employees.
Yes.
Yes.
And the position and the description and the amount,
Yes,
but not the person. To
Right.
hire and fire. If the position is there, they have the right to hire somebody to fill that position. We've created the position, we've created the dollar amount. Now, if we don't want that position to be filled, then we need to eliminate it. But that's my understanding, and if I'm wrong, please tell me. But I think we're taking away some of our elected officials' ability to run their operation.
The council can just simply not fund a position, correct?
correct.
That's correct.
And it happens sometimes.
But they don't.
But I
have
did
the-
answer the question, is what I'm pretty sure. It was pretty detailed email
I don't know.
on the statutes.
But I'm still standing my ground.
Do we have what's the motion that's on the floor?
I don't have.
We have, no, there's a first and a second.
Passed.
Yeah.
Actually, passed, and then John.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, me too.
I just wanted to discuss it and put it out there, so.
And you're hiring
suggesting we
freeze.
go to outside because that costs money.
Well, and you're hiring.
I don't
freeze
understand why our council is not
Is not what?
No.
going full forward with what is real and taking away from our county elected officials.
Well, what you're saying there, John, if I could interject for just a moment. What you are saying there is taking away from council's clearly stated responsibilities in statute.
To not hire.
It is our statutory responsibility to set the number of employees.
And they cannot tell an elected official not to hire a person to fill a position.
If
I will stand that ground.
Yeah, we can't say if there's a position available.
Right.
But we have the authority to set the number of positions.
Yeah. And I agree.
And so that's what a hiring freeze does, is we're telling the local government employees that we have decided as a group and voted on it not to add to our employee roll. There is a hiring freeze, no new hires.
I agree. But if a position is open and it is a funded position, then the elected official can fill that.
For this year, yes, we have a hiring pause that we voted on for 2027. And so I know that the attorneys have researched that thoroughly. I'm comfortable with their opinions. We've got a great legal team there. However, if you feel that strongly about it, I
feel
will.
strongly about it.
I will absolutely
I like
reach
the
out.
idea of going out of their purview. I just want them to go further.
There is no further place to go, it's my
There
understanding.
is also a statutory requirement in the hiring freeze for certain constitutional positions, like the law enforcement, which we've talked about in depth, that they do have a different set of abilities to hire. There's also probation officers that are judicial appointments, so there are always those available.
So if a treasurer or auditor has an employee that dies and they need to fill that position,
They would come to the
is
council.
it a freeze or not?
Well, the way that you have well, go ahead, Michelle.
For this year, for 2026, any existing position can be refilled outside of council. What we approved for 2027 is if someone leaves the position, you need to bring that request back to council to see if we can afford it.
That's where I have the problem.
And if I remember your conversation, you reached out to me individually. You based this idea on artificial intelligence. And
That's the only thing I have.
no,
I don't have my own intelligence.
you have two attorneys who are practicing law, have been practicing law, graduated from law school, who have done the actual research and said that your artificial intelligence that you're relying your opinion upon is incorrect.
Well, I'm sure that parts of it were, and I'm sure parts of it were correct.
They cited 36253, Indiana Code 36-2-5-3, which says the compensation of officers and employees. The county fiscal body shall fix the compensation of officers, deputies, and other employees. This includes the power to fix the number of officers, deputies, and other employees. We can set the number of employees that are
Tell me where
over.
it says hiring freeze.
That's what that means.
Tell me, no, that doesn't.
Yeah, it does.
I'm happy
You
to.
can fix the number of people that are available.
I can
Positions.
agree with that, but you fix the number of people.
Positions.
A person dies within that number.
We're saying they have to bring it to us because we can fix it. We can fix that number to whatever we deem appropriate based on our fiscal condition of the county.
And I apologize for the time I know that I'm spending on this.
I'm happy to sit down and chat if you want to go through the statute
No,
at some point.
That's okay. I'm fine.
Well, I'm sorry, but that's just not fair. If you're going to make a point about this, and then you're rejecting their legal research, and now they have offered to meet with you individually, you should take them up on that opportunity.
I am not rejecting.
Yes, you have.
Did I say that? I'm accepting it by not going outside the legal counsel. Whoever thought of that's wrong.
Well, I think we still have one more thing to approve tonight, Amy. Salary ordinance. And just to recap, that the salary ordinances that we'll be voting on tonight are just to update all the changes that we have made at prior council meetings for the last 2 months or 3 months.
It's just June and July because
June and July.
there was none done in May.
Okay, so just for June and July, pretty straightforward. We do this every other month or so.
Aggregate of what's already.
Yes, sir. Yeah, just
It's solidifying what we've already voted on.
thank you. So I would entertain a motion.
I so move to approve DE as presented.
Second.
Is it E1?
Yes, E1.
E1, I have a motion by Ron Bates, a second by Pamela Burton. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. I will entertain a motion to adjourn. We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone. I appreciate your time.